Okay, so I wanted to talk about Edna and how she says that finally she's feeling a restfulness that she didn't feel before. Um, so this is weird. It's not really normal in a married couple that when one leaves, the other one um, feels like they can finally rest. Um, so that doesn't really tell us that Mrs. Fontelier is feeling satisfied with her marriage. And we haven't really heard much about Mr. Fontelier either. So since he left, he hasn't written any letters or anything to tell us that he cares about how Mrs. Fontelier is feeling back home. So I think he must be feeling a restfulness also from not being with Edna. So there's this part that I liked where Mrs. Fontelier says that um, that since she has been working, um, being devoid of ambition and striving not to accomplish, it has given her the satisfaction of working for what she likes. So here I think Chopin tells us that uh, women, if women are not satisfied with their lives, then maybe they are not working in what really they want to work in. Like Edna feels now a sureness in it and ease, and because she's working for what she really wants and not willing to accomplish what society has told her that she has to accomplish in her work. And so like women should be working at something that satisfies them. Something isn't right if she doesn't feel satisfied. And so then this part comes when Edna goes to Mrs. Highcamp's house. And Mrs. Highcamp is described as being someone ignorant, indifferent. So, like, when we meet Mrs. Highcamp as a character, we don't see her as a really character that we look up to. So then Edna says that Mrs. Highcamp was full of delicate courtesy and consideration toward her husband. So, like, directly, the narrator isn't telling the reader if the courtesy and consideration that Mrs. Highcamp acts with towards her husband is good or bad. But the fact that she had been described to us and like personified to us as this characterized to us as this character that we're not supposed to look up to, it doesn't really give us a good impression about being courteous to one's husband. Like, it doesn't really give the reader the impression that Chopin wants us to learn from her and be like her. So then things begin to change in the story. Edna finally says that she doesn't love her husband. So Edna finds herself thinking, what would he think? And then one is reading and one is like, oh, she wants to know what her husband would think of her. That's nice. And then she says she did not mean her husband. She was thinking of Robert Lebrun. So she has already forgotten her husband. She doesn't care about what her husband thinks about what she's doing. She now cares about what Robert thinks. So I think this is all part of Edna's like rebelling against what society wants her to think. Society wants her to care about Mr. Pontelier's opinion, not Robert's. Yet she doesn't. She defies that. So then comes this part that I didn't really understand, but I thought it was interesting. She goes to Mademoiselle Race's house, and it says, it was then, in the presence of that personality which was offensive to her, that the woman, by her divine art, seemed to reach Edna's spirit and set it free. I don't know why Mademoiselle Race sets Edna's spirit free, but I think she kind of sees that woman as someone who doesn't depend on anyone. She like she just plays her piano or whatever, and she doesn't have like that Mr. Pontellier to have to impress or something. She's like this woman, even though she's so different from Edna, she has the possibility of doing that which Edna wants, which is freedom from her husband. And so then it comes back to the whole Robert thing, and Edna says, whatever came, she had resolved never again to belong to another than herself. So she says, okay, definitely I am only going to follow my own dreams and I don't care about anyone else. I don't depend on anyone. I don't belong to anyone. So that's like a very definite, she's not saying, oh, maybe I don't want to do what Mr. Pontellier asks of me anymore. She's just saying, I only belong to myself and I'm only going to follow what I want to follow myself. So then continuing with that, Mademoiselle Ray asks her, are you in love with Robert? And for the first time she says, yes, and a glow overspread her face, blotching it with red spots. So finally, after Edna has decided that she doesn't belong to Mr. Pontellier, she can accept to herself that she loves Robert and that she probably has always loved Robert and will always love him. So Chopin shows, like, she wasn't ashamed of herself. She got a glow overspread her face. It made her happy to realize that she didn't have to depend on Mr. Pontellier anymore. That she could love whoever she really loved. So here Chopin, through Edna's happiness, she tells us it's okay. As a woman, you can free yourself from those people who tie you down, who don't let you be who you really want to be. So she felt happy that she was able to love Robert, that she was able to swim far out where no woman had swum before. That's what I think Chopin wants us to do. She wants us to feel that glow spread through us like Edna felt when she was able to do what she wanted to do. So then there's another like kind of intermission with that, where Edna is telling a Robin, who comes back later, that she says, by all the codes which I am acquainted with, I am a devilishly wicked specimen of the sex. So she's saying, everything that society has ever told me, it tells me that right now what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, it is devilish.